What is going on, guys? Sorry if this video isn't that great, like editing wise or sound wise. I'm kind of just walking through my apartment with my controller in my hand, and I just didn't know if I was actually gonna make this video. But as more news came out, the more I got pissed. Just starting off, I used to be a Boogie2988 fan fucking years ago. Years ago. I'm talking back when he was, you know, first starting out doing his Francis thing. I just yeah, I was a fan back then. Uh but now that things have kind of like came out in the past few years about him and his scummy behavior, I'm not a fan anymore of his content or even him in general. I think he is just really, really, really terrible and just a horrible human being. And this is just one of the things that kind of irks me about him is that he faked his cancer diagnosis. He faked having cancer, and that's kind of like that kind of hits home for me personally, and I kind of just want to give you guys my, perspective on the situation as somebody who has had two family members die of cancer in the past 3 years, pretty much in the height of COVID. And I have a friend of mine whose dad is going through two types of cancer right now, and it's just horrible, 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 horrible. And the fact that this fucking fat dickhole is literally lying of having a cancer that he said himself is the Animal Crossing of fucking cancer, and how it's not that big of a deal, but he's trying to get sympathy points and subscribers and clout, and it's just so rotten. And listen, if there's a heaven and a hell, a god and a devil, this motherfucker is going straight to hell. Like they're not even going to talk to each other to debate it. They're going to look at each other and be like, "Yeah, this guy is burning in hell like as soon as he dies," which might be soon. Hopefully it's soon, because this is just the biggest waste of fucking air I've ever seen. And I work retail. I've seen a bunch of, wasted air in my vicinity, but and he's not even in it. He's not even in my area, and I can already tell he's the biggest waste of air like I've ever seen in my life. So I'm just gonna go through my story on my family member's cancer, and then I want to talk about Boogie and just why I personally don't think he actually has cancer and has just been faking it this whole time. 2 years ago, roughly 2 years ago, he announced that he had cancer. But I'm just gonna flat out say he doesn't, and I know like 99.9999999% of everybody in the fucking world thinks he doesn't. But if you're the 0.0000001% that thinks he does, you're an idiot. And I'm just gonna say it like it is, all right? So during the height of COVID, my aunt got leukemia, and that was probably the roughest fucking like 6 months, 5, 6 months of like my life. And like I said, this was the height of COVID. So not only was my aunt dying in a hospital room, but nobody could visit her. There were times in the hospital where, they said that she was okay enough to go home. And she would go home for like, maybe a day or two. And then she would get really, really fucking sick again. And so she would have to go back to the hospital for like another week. Then they okay her to go home for another day or two. And then she'd go back in the hospital because she got really sick again. And then the day everyone dreaded happened. She passed away at the hospital. I think the only person there was her daughter. And I believe I was coming home from my mom's. My parents are divorced, so I was spending time with my mom. Came home. Dad pulled me aside and said, "Your aunt passed away." And it was hard. It was like I said, one of the hardest moments of my life. Like shit like that happens and it doesn't go away. Like a family member dies of cancer or just dies in general and that shit does not go away. And I've had a lot of loss these past few years, not just to cancer, but just in general. And, it doesn't go away. The next person who passed away was my uncle. And he has been in my life, just like my aunt has, for, my whole life. He's been there since I was born. And he was one of the strongest people. He would lift like the heaviest things. He was the smallest guy, but he would lift the heaviest shit. My dad and him used to work as like furniture movers. Like they worked at a furniture company and they would just move furniture. And my dad would say that he was the strongest guy that he's ever worked with. He was the smartest guy he's ever worked with. And yeah, he got diagnosed with colon cancer. And just like my aunt, it kind of came out of like nowhere. And he fought that cancer for, I think, 2 years. 2 years. Maybe a year and a half, but he fought it for a long time. And just the state of him throughout his cancer and how not necessarily weak he got, because he was always strong. He was, strong-minded, but you could tell that he wasn't able to do things that he used to do. And one of the last times that I saw him, my dad and I were helping him move a dresser into his house. And my uncle, being the strong guy that he is, said that, him and my dad could do it. So they, get it up to at least his front door. And then my dad says, you might want to go behind him just in case something happens, because they have to go over a lip into his house now. My dad and my uncle lift the dresser, and my uncle shaking, can't hold it. He's like down, like on both his knees, and I'm just helping him up. And then my dad said, hey, you might want to just, let my son take over and you just, relax and take a breather. And, obviously my uncle was like, oh, I can do it, but he ended up just, taking a breather. He was sweating. And then, I helped my dad with the dresser. A little bit after that, I was at my mom's, and I go on Facebook, and I see, one of my family friends, who I just call family at this point. You're friends with somebody for your whole life, their family. And she's posting about how, somebody that she loved died of cancer. And I was like, fuck, I hope it wasn't my uncle. And just like that, my mom comes in and she says, hey, did you hear about your uncle? And that's when reality hit me. So then I went home. Dad was there, saying all the stuff that I've already said on how my uncle was the strongest fucking person he's ever met, and how the day that he died, my dad went over there to check on him, because when my uncle got diagnosed with cancer, my dad was over his house every single fucking day. And even when he didn't have cancer, my dad was still over his house quite a lot. And so he went over there and, he saw the ambulance, and he knew it wasn't good. It sucks. It sucks. And those two died of cancer literally like months apart from each other. and it just sucks so bad. Like, if you've ever had somebody get cancer and die from cancer, you know how bad it feels. And then I just had another family friend die of cancer too, about a few months ago. Another family friend that I've known since I was born, and it just sucks. It just sucks, man. It sucks. So that's kind of like my abridged versions of the stories from my personal life and how what Boogie is doing really just does not sit right with me. And if you're watching this and you're just, thinking like, oh, hey, he's just using all this for, clout. He just wants subscribers, likes, like sympathy. I really don't. I could care less about that. I just want to tell my side of the story as somebody who's been affected by 3 deaths due to cancer in the past 2 to 3 years. And I just want you guys to realize how shitty he is for faking all this. He's been faking it for almost 2 years now. He calls it the Animal Crossing of cancer, the one that he has, when in reality, cancer sucks, no matter which one. And then when people literally are willing to pay you tens of thousands of dollars, I mean, just look at Mudahar. Like, he said that he, I think, was going to pay Boogie 60 grand just to see his records. Just for Boogie to show his records that he has cancer. And Boogie says no to all the money that he could get from this. Bro, do you know how long it would take me to get $60,000? I would have to work 3 years to get that money. And this dude said no. Just to verify if he has cancer or not. And then he says that he wanted to keep some things personal. Bro, you have a fucking documentary that is documenting your whole fucking life. It shows your house, it shows your surrounding areas. You even put a list of all your diagnoses. But this is the one fucking thing that you want to keep to your chest. The one thing that could get you 60 grand, that's life-changing, dude. For me, that's life-changing. I'm the definition of working paycheck to paycheck. Like, if my paycheck is even like $50 short, I'm fucked. Like, that's just how it is. That's just how I'm living. And I'm not spending money on a bunch of luxurious shit. I'm not going anywhere. I just go to work and come home. The most I spend on is groceries. And this guy fucking travels everywhere. He gets money from doing that stupid podcast thing. And then he scammed his audience out of like maybe $5,000. Like, what? And he has the nerve to say that he's poor? What? Sell some of your shit, dude. If you're poor. It just blows my mind. Like, that's just like scratching the surface. The cancer thing just threw it over the edge for me. Like, that's when I realized that I was going to make a video on this. I don't know how much of this I'm going to keep in the video, because I don't know how, like, personal I want to be. But I just really wanted to get that out there and just share my perspective as somebody who has lost some family members due to cancer, who has a friend whose dad's dealing with cancer, and yeah. So whether this video comes across as choppy, not well edited, or too edited, sorry about that. But I just really just needed to talk about it, because I'm just watching some of the videos of this fucking guy. It just brought my blood to a boil, and I don't know what's going to be the background. It might just be a black fucking screen. I don't know, so we'll see. But yeah, until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Boogie, go fuck yourself, and peace. But not to Boogie. He can peace out and die. Okay, bye.